So the next one is the Uncommoners. This is the Crooked Sixpence. It's first in the I don't know why I can't say Uncommoners series by Jennifer Bell. Wasn't due to be out until the end of January, 31st of January. I did see it out the week before in Waterstones. It's got a lovely cover actually when you see it in real person. This is from Random House Children's, and yes, this is great. Just let me get to my review on this. So let's have a look what we've got here. Middle grade book, and this is a new series where we're getting a new world being built, and this is underground under London, and it starts with we've got Ivy and her brother, and their grandmother has a nasty fall. She's called Sylvie. She has a nasty fall, and the parents are working away, so they have to take her to casualty, to accident and emergency, and get treatment. And there seems to be some very strange people hanging around in the hospital around a grandmother that don't look quite, they look a bit suspicious, shall we say. Anyway, they follow one of them and end up being whisked away by this boy that's trying to help them escape the baddies, as it were. Whisked away through a suitcase, through some luggage, into a underground world under London. And it was great because actually going through this suitcase, it was a bit like going down the rabbit hole for Alice in Wonderland, you know, down into a new world. So they end up down in this world in between London and sort of the rest of the country, but mainly the main world that we're seeing in book one is underneath London. And it's an area where everyday common objects, say for example a pen, have become uncommon, and they get like magical benefits from, you know, normally an uncommon pen would just write. If it became uncommon, it'd suddenly, you'd be able to hold on to it and fly across the room. It's that sort of, so although magical, mystical world, it's not the wizards and the people themselves, like Harry Potter, say for example. It's objects, uncommon objects. And we've got in this world, we've got the commoners and the uncommoners. And it's a race against time to be able to rescue their grandmother and their parents. The grandmother, it turns out, lost her memory when she woke up and had amnesia from what was so-called a bump on the head. But as it starts to unfold the plot, you start to get a bit of an idea that she is actually from this world, but just doesn't remember it. There's also this idea that our soul lives on in these uncommon objects, and they're there to spread peace and happiness throughout the world. So I think that's a good moral for our children to be given. A good moral for all of us, I think, with this day and age. Beautiful writing. I can't wait to see this new world developing. My only criticism was that the end of the book felt a little bit too cramped. It's as if, oh, well, we're coming towards the end of the book, we better cram loads and loads in so we can finish it. And I preferred perhaps some of that being taken out, because we know it's going to be a series. I would have preferred some of that being taken out and you know, become more fully formed in another book. But that's my only criticism really, so I gave it 4 stars. Wonderful, wonderful new book for children, and I think it's going to be a new wonderful world for them. So that's The Uncommoners, The Crooked Sixpence by Jennifer Bell, and it's out now. So next, The Transition by Luke Kennard. This is HarperCollins. 26th of January was its publication date, and it's a bit of a dystopian. It's set in a future world in the UK, and in this future world, criminals of minor crime are are offered, rather than go to prison, they're offered to go onto this rehabilitation program called the Transition. And we have got, I'm terrible at remembering people's names in it. Anyway, we've got this, sorry, I just can't find his name. He's in his 30s, early 30s, he's been committed of credit card fraud. And so he goes into this program called the Transition. They have to take their partners, their spouses with them. Even though their spouse hasn't done anything wrong, for them to be able to enter this program, they have to take the spouse with them. So his wife goes off, and for 6 months they go and enter this transition. It's a bit like a community village, shall we say, where they are given mentors, and they go and live with these mentors, and they're supposed to be given ideals, show them ideals about good living and good monetary organisation, and ways in which they can become better citizens. To be fair, I wasn't that struck on this. I gave it 3 stars. I had great respect for his wife to go along, to support him to go there. But it's as if while they're there, there's more to it than meets the eye. I feel that there's some sort of a cult theme going on in the background. I feel that they're being a bit brainwashed. And especially the wife, it's, you get the impression that perhaps she's a little bit intimidated by her husband, and suddenly turns into this character that, is going to suddenly go from quite a quiet, mild-mannered girl to this really gregarious, here I am, I've arrived character, which I don't think you suddenly change like that when it's not in your true nature. I personally felt that it felt definitely this cult feeling, didn't feel that it was, you hinted at it, I didn't feel it was that well covered. I wanted more of a plot line, really, more fulfilling plot line. I didn't find the ending very thrilling, very believable, really. It just all fizzled out in the end for me. I think it's worth giving it a try. I'm not a main lover of dystopian fiction. So for some others that is their main genre, they might get more out of it than I did. I think that the premise of the book was excellent. I just felt that it was let down on the execution, so sorry. I feel that a lot more could have been done with the idea of this. It's very thought-provoking, and it really comes across that Big Brother is really watching you, so better beware. So I gave that 3 stars. That was out on the 24th of January, but see what you think for yourselves. And then finally, The Power of Meaning. This is another non-fiction. This is another in the health, well-being, spirituality genre. It's by Penguin Random House, and it's by Emily Eshfahani Smith. And it's about creating a life that matters. It came out on the 12th of January. Yes, I enjoyed this. Just getting to my feedback now, what my review was. I gave it 4 stars, so another reasonable high rating for a non-fiction book. And it's just about for those that want to find a better meaning in the life, looking at about what it's all about, why we're on this earth really, why we're meant to do more and make more of our lives while we're here, what the purpose of our lives is, and make life more purposeful. It was divided clearly into chapters, the same as the Power of Breath, and it was very well backed up with scientific and medical evidence, psychological evidence, which was, for some people, for the purists out there, they like to see that. But, from being in a health and well-being background and for practicing complementary medicine, I do have this understanding that not everything can be explained either scientifically or medically. But I think there's enough in there for people to think, yeah, this has been well researched, and you know, there's a lot of plausibility in it. I think it was well written. There's some nice mindfulness exercises in there, and there's quite a few case histories. Couldn't think of the word then. Quite a few case histories where the exercises have really benefited people that are terminally ill in hospice, coming to the end of their time on earth, and how practicing some of these, looking for the meaning of where they've been, what they've done and where they're at, has really helped them to have a more peaceful end. So I think it's very thought-provoking, very informative, very well written. I think this is a good resource for health professionals and anybody else that's interested in well-being and spirituality, and really looking at how we can make ourselves better and improve our lives. So yes, so that is The Power of Meaning. Came out on the 12th of January. So there we go. There is my wrap up of all the books that I read on behalf of publishers, and hope there's some ones in there that you like the look of and go move forward and read. So thank you for joining me. Next month, yes, I'm going to, I've got some more good books coming up for new publications that's coming out, along with my usual reads. And for my full reviews on those, go to my Goodreads channel, and it's Jayne Catherine Pinkett on Goodreads. So thank you very much. Phew, sorry if that was a lot to cram in. All the details down below for any of the books you fancy, and thanks for joining me. Take care. Bye bye.